And the title of the letter is The Secret Meaning That Changed Rap Music and Destroyed a Generation.
Damn.
Conclusion. It has been identified that the b.a.e industry is heavily impacted by religion, misrepresentation, and foreign influences are the elements of destruction, and how these elements persist in the society of today. Although blacks have been responsible for creating or influencing most genres in the industry of music, i.e. rock and roll, gospel, soul, R&B, hip-hop, rap, are highly celebrated in sports and film and other arenas of the b.a.e. There has been no reward for the contributions that have been made.
Majority of y'all never passed the ball. The reason why niggas is still signing for 50% royalty when y'all was doing basically almost goddamn the same for over 20 years, y'all never passed the ball. Y'all never educated niggas. Y'all took y'all money and y'all ran with it. Y'all never educated people.
There are too many blacks that have gotten out of their situation and become successful, only to join the ranks of those who have exploited their culture or succumb to the exploitative nature of an industry of slavery.
The respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry, which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement.
Damn.
He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments.
This echoes the old saying, quote, if you can't beat them, join them, end quote. And that is what some have chosen to do. And those who have chosen to go against the system have had a tougher time in the industry.
None of y'all go back to educate the new artists. So how much do we really think you're for the culture, or were you just for yourself?
The elements of destruction continues its onslaught as the element of religion is heard, seen, and spoken throughout the b.a.e industry. First, religion is heard throughout the b.a.e industry, including lyrics, titles of songs, i.e. God's Plan, God Dead, shoutouts, and during normal talk where religion is subconsciously invoked, i.e. oh my God, go to hell, I swear to God, God damn it, Jesus take the wheel, I'd like to thank God, what would Jesus do? On God, Jesus Christ, man, God have mercy, God bless you. Second, the religion is seen with the flashy, iced out jewelry with crosses or Jesus pieces. The tattoos that are inked on their bodies with religious symbols and hieroglyphics, and the symbolic religious representation seen in music videos, interviews, and social media. Lastly, religion is spoken throughout the lyrics and melodies of music, rehearsed as an artist writes or reads their lyrics, spoken by celebrities of the b.a.e, i.e. artists, entertainers, athletes, recited by fans of musical artists as they sing along to their favorite track or recall the lyrics from a song. Ultimately, these heard, seen, and spoken promotions and endorsements of religion in the b.a.e serves as a tool to keep the same industry ignorant and oblivious, as that same industry worships and gives praise to a fictitious religious entity that they have never physically heard speak, saw in the flesh, or spoken to, receiving all the praise for their hard work and contributions to their craft. Basically, they are investing all their hopes and dreams, shortcomings and imperfections, our wrongdoings and atrocities into one imaginary basket and awaiting a return.
Someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates.
Mm-hmm.
The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons.
Mm-hmm.
It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares.
I can't respect y'all for that. I'm sorry. Especially when y'all talking for the culture.
And the element of misrepresentation further stigmatizes the Bay industry and its culture through means of misrepresenting others with labels or titles that do not belong to them or imposed on them by others. The term black describes an entire culture with ties to a continent that is not as accepting of the term until they found a loophole to exploit it for their own benefits. This continent is the misrepresented continent of Africa, who think and could care less about the black American. But the black Americans keep trying to identify their origin with a foreign culture by adopting African or foreign names to present some connection to a foreign land, wearing the garments and jewelry of foreigners to symbolize their support of that foreign culture, and recollecting the history of the continent and their monarchical structures and advancements. In actuality, the continent referred to as Africa has experienced what the black Americans have experienced on this continent, with the only difference being that Africa was the first. The continent thrived with the different tribes that occupied the land, and like all places, there was conflict, but it all remained within the continent. But once foreigners from Europe, the Middle East, and Asia witnessed the continent, resources, and inferior weaponry, they chose not only as a nation, but as an intergenerational mission to exploit the continent for everything it had for the advancements of their own countries.
Nah, we just standing by our principles, homie.
But our principles are making us bitches, man. Every day.
He told us that since our employees had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remain filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promote criminal behavior.
By making music which promote criminal behavior. By making music which promote criminal behavior.
Rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employees, we'd also be able to buy stocks in these prisons.
The foreigners were more advanced and better prepared for their conquest, as well as the utility of religion and some of the first instances of biological warfare following the Black Plague that nearly brought Europe to the brink of extinction. In essence, they raped the continent of its material and human resources, just to place them at the bottom of the hierarchy of the world. Today, the continent has not recovered and continues to be exploited. The same event happened to the indigenous people of the so-called American landmass. It was exploited for its material and human resources, as well as its central location in the world and distance from foreign forces. But the indigenous people suffered a similar fate as the African continent. But the suffering continues today in so-called America and has been exploited by members from the African continent. Furthermore, the Africans who have come to America have not aligned with Black Americans and perceive them as inferior, destructive, and a culture with no values. However, they have no problems exploiting the Black culture, such as their attire and commingling with Blacks. Although the Africans are not solely at fault, since the portrayal of Black Americans is publicized in the media and entertainment as inferior, lacking common sense, violent, and destructive. They are easily devalued in the eyes of foreigners. The only instances that provide some explanation to their perceptions of Blacks is when Blacks are allowed to tell their own stories from their own experiences, i.e., autobiographies, documentaries, interviews, television shows, films, instead of through the recollections of former slave masters. The revised stories from swindlers of sharecropping, the fabricated history taught by and throughout the American educational system, the interpretations from outsiders, objective explanations are non-factual truths by immigrants or their descendants of how Blacks live.
You know, we're the sauce of the world. We're the sauce of everything. And we keep acting like we're not. And then when we don't get the love that we deserve, we're surprised that you're like, yeah, okay, it's like a pimp. Go make me some, go spend your money. Like, shh, be quiet. Psh, you know what I mean? Go. You know what I mean? Abusive is abusive relationship. That's what it is. And it's like we just keep wanting to be accepted by these abusers. These brands that constantly abuse us and because they don't care about us, but we just have to be loved by them. You know? It's a scam. It's all a scam.
The element of foreign influences has had a long-lasting effect on the b.a.e industry, such as fashion, specifically the garments, attire, jewelry, and accessories of European brands. Although this is not the only effect from foreign influences that have eroded the b.a.e industry and its followers, but other factors include religion, misrepresentation, which were both previously discussed, vehicles, and technology have all had a part to play in exploiting the b.a.e and its culture. Furthermore, the vehicles and technology have provided an expansion of foreign influences from other countries and not subjugating the b.a.e to European influences only. First, the vehicles have a few different countries that manufacture vehicles outside of the U.S. and synonymous with the b.a.e industry because expensive and foreign tend to present a successful status in the eyes of the public, which perpetuates materialism. However, some of the foreign car companies and their manufactured vehicles include Japan, who manufactures Lexus luxury cars. Germany is responsible for Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, and Bugatti. The British create the Land Rover, Range Rover, Jaguar, Aston Martin, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, and McLaren. And the Italians make the Maserati, Ferrari, and Lamborghini. These car brands, like fashion, are heard throughout the lyrics and seen on their social media posts. Then, the technology from foreign influences is prominent in Asian societies, such as the headquarters of Samsung Electronics and LG Electronics being based in South Korea, or the headquarters of Hitachi, Sony, and Panasonic being based in Japan. Overall, these three elements continue to destroy the Bay industry and corrupt the minds of those who are followers of the same industry. As the owners of all these influences generate billions annually and swimming in money, the Bay is still trying to keep its head above water.
I don't respect none of y'all because y'all was in the game for mad long. And there's mad new artists, mad struggling artists who ain't got nothing. They trying to get in the game, they'll sign anything for a buck. And the same way you got fucked in the 90s, you let niggas getting fucked in the 2010s. How could I respect you? How could I? How could I respect you? How? Y'all don't educate nobody. Y'all don't help nobody. Def Jam been giving niggas the same deals for 30 years. Y'all never did nothing. No explanation. The game is to be sold and not told. Everybody look at everybody as competition. They ran a gambit on everybody in hip hop. They did 360 deals. They did everything. You know why? Because they know you niggas wasn't doing shit. That's all I'm saying.